how we met started a long, long time ago, because it started when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan. And I was, from that magic moment on, Beatle fan. And I was not the screaming on the other side of the fence kind of Beatle fan, but they were always my favorite band, and I always just adored their music. And my college thesis was in a play that I wrote entirely of Beatle lyrics. And when I graduated from college, I went immediately into writing, even though I got my degrees in directing and acting. But I went right into writing, and I was trying to sell scripts, and I was going to meetings and pitching shows and things like that. And it was right around that time that John was killed. And I just stopped. I went into a massive depression, and I wasn't coming out of it. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to talk to anybody. It wrecked me. And my parents were getting very worried about me. And my dad was calling up, and he wanted to send me to a therapist. And my mother called up one day, and she said, "I know what's going to make you feel better. Why don't you go get your hair done?" And I'm like, okay, I'm having like this existential crisis, and my mother wants me to get my hair done. But she was Mom, and I didn't want to make her feel bad or anything. So I said, hair, fine, make an appointment. I'll get my hair done. So she made an appointment at her hairdresser at Beverly Hills, and I went to see him. And he's doing my hair, and he said, "What's going on with you? You seem so sad." And I said, "I've just been very depressed ever since John Lennon was killed." And he said, "You know what? I have one more client. Why don't you go down the stairs, walk around the block. When you're done, I'll be done, and let's go have a cup of coffee." And I said, okay, fine. So I go downstairs, and I'm starting to walk around the block, and I wasn't looking where I was going. I just had my head down and my eyes down, and I walked straight into somebody, and I like, bam, and I'm standing on a pair of boots. And I look up, and I'm standing on Ringo Starr. And in the middle,
on top of him?
On his feet. I'm literally standing on his boots.
So he hadn't fallen over yet?
No.
Okay.
No. Wow. He was standing there with Barbara, his, at that point, fiancée. And I apologized, and I said, I'm just so sorry about stepping on you, and I'm just so sorry about John. And I turned to leave, and he said, "Hold on a minute. Can I talk to you for a minute?" Now, I did not know him. I'd never met him. And so I said, "Sure." And he started telling me about his relationship with John Lennon.
Wow.
And I was just blown away. I mean, he was telling me about the only thing that was bringing him through this particular time was work. And he was just finishing up an album, and it's become a real focus for him. And if you can really focus on work, it can really bring you through times. I guess it was just all over my face. I don't know. But he just...
But how open of him.
Yes.
I mean, wow.
It just feels to me, though, I don't know if you feel the same way or you think the same way I do, but it feels like John orchestrated that collision.
Well,
that was divine intervention. I agree with that.
It gets crazier.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I'm standing there with Ringo, and he's telling me all about his relationship with John and this new album, and so after I thanked him and I went home, and I was thinking about it a lot. And my dad called up a couple of weeks later. My dad calls up, and he said, "I have a new show coming on at NBC, and we're going to be filming over at Paramount. I'd like you to become a writer on it." And I had always said no to Dad. I had changed my name. I didn't want to work with my family. So it was the Brady Brides. It was an offshoot of the
Brady Brides. Right. And they had a fake Jan or a fake Marsha. I forget. I lose track of my fake Bradys.
No, that was a Christmas movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they were both in it.
Yeah, they were both
ahead.
in it. Yeah. So he said, "Would you come and be a writer on the show?" And I was going to say no, but then I started thinking about this encounter with Ringo. And I thought, an opportunity to work. Maybe that's what I need to do. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So I started working at NBC. Well, not at NBC, but we were filming at Paramount. But and our soundstage was right next to the Mork and Mindy soundstage.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And I ended up in a dating relationship with Robin Williams. And so he was going to New York to film World According to Garp. And he wanted me to come to New York with him. And I said I couldn't because we were right in the middle of filming. And so he said, well, if you go on hiatus, call my house. There'll be somebody house sitting, and tell them that you're coming, and they'll give you information, and they'll tell me when you're going to be here. I said, fine. So we went on hiatus. I call his house, and this woman answers the phone, and her name is Charlie, and she has this very thick English accent. And she said, oh, yeah, Robin said you'd be calling. Here's where you're staying. I'll let him know you're coming. Fine. So I go to New York, and I'm with Robin, and he's doing an interview one night, and he said, I'm going to send you to this club to wait for me. Fine. So go to this club, catch a rising star. So I walk in, and I hear that a couple of people talking, and they're saying, oh, Paul McCartney's guitarist is there. And I thought, well, that's cool. I didn't know the members of Wings, but I thought, that's interesting. So I'm talking to this woman, and she's a singer, and she said, oh, I'm working with some musicians, and here they come. Do you want to meet them? I said, sure. So these three guys walk over to me, and this guy's in the middle.
What a great story.
And we met, and it's one of those movie moments where everything get all faded away, and it's just us, and I forget all about Robin. I forget all about why I'm in New York in the first place.
Did you pay Robin back for the trip? Because that's sad. No.
So I ended up going out to dinner with Laurence, and we go back to his apartment, and there's this big poster, and it's a Wings poster. And I said, wait, that looks like you. And he said, yeah, I was in that band. And so we're talking, and he's telling me about this album that he just finished working on with Ringo.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
You are
Yes.
not serious.
Yes. And then we're talking some more, and we're telling about old boyfriends, old girlfriends. And he said that he has this one girlfriend that he had that was doing an album in L.A., and she's staying at Eric Idle's house. And her name is Charlie. And I
Wow.
said, she's not at Eric Idle's house. She's at Robin's house. I talked to her right before I got on the plane. So I was on the phone with his old girlfriend right before I...
Okay, how did this get sorted?
What do you mean?
You had to get
Well,
married. It was
well,
part.
Well,
He said
how
he
did
was-
you were with Robin?
Yes.
And now you're with Laurence.
Yes.
So how did you process what was happening and what needed to happen moving forward?
Well, he started talking about marriage the night we met.
He did.
Yes. Yes. He said that you could talk, so.
I mean, it was
great
love at first
story.
sight from
Yeah,
my
it was-
point of
yeah.
view. So,
Yeah.
It was love at
And
first sight.
here we are, 43 years later.
But when did you have a conversation with Robin that you needed to break things off with him?
I didn't.
This was
Robin Williams,
1981.
You ghosted Robin Williams.
Yeah.